Доброго дня, колеги. Хочу проінформувати про ті завдання, які виконує Державна прикордонна служба. По-перше, відомство і наші військовослужбовці продовжують захищати країну пліч-опліч з іншими силами оборони країни та забезпечити безпеку на тих ділянках, де ситуація теж залишається напруженою. Вкотре зазначу, що в заходах з відсічі збройної агресії Росії прикордонні підрозділи діють за загальним задумом Генерального штабу України. Ворог не полишає спроб просунутися вглиб території України на багатьох напрямках, не припиняються його ракетно-бомбові удари по позиціях наших підрозділів. Мета цих штурмових дій – встановлення повного контролю над Донецькою та Луганською областями. Крім того, угрупування противника продовжує зосереджувати свої зусилля на утримання займаних позицій в районі Харкова та зосереджує зусилля на Ізюмському напрямку. Проте українські захисники максимально відбивають всі атаки російських окупантів, ефективно діють оператори безпілотних літальних апаратів, в тому числі прикордонників, які наводять артилерію. Противник продовжує наносити удари по об'єктам інфраструктури та блокувати українські підрозділи в Маріуполі, в районі заводу «Азовсталь». Зазначу, що в складі героїчних сил оборони міста і прикордонники як Донецького прикордонного загону, так і загону морської охорони.
And Mariupol Marine Detachment. At the border with Belarus, there are no significant changes in the situation. At the same time, the units of the Belarusian armed forces continue to carry out tasks to strengthen their protection of the state border with Ukraine. The situation with Moldova is very tense and remains so, including the Transnistrian section. As in the territory of Belarus, we think that this direction can be used by the enemy for further escalation. However, both at the border with Belarus and at the Transnistrian direction, all the defense forces of Ukraine take all necessary measures. We also take on board all the information relevant to the defense of the border. At the Transnistrian section of the border with Moldova, as well as on the border with Belarus and the Russian border, these checkpoints, according to the decision by the Ukrainian government, have been closed. There we do not carry out measures to register and allow citizens to cross the border. Russia does not abandon armed provocations at the Ukrainian-Russian border in the areas of Chernihiv and Sumy regions, from where the Ukrainian army have expelled enemy forces. The occupiers are also taking measures to strengthen and cover these areas. And in the Russian border vicinity, we see a movement of military equipment. At the same time, the formation of enemy groups to resume their offensive have not been detected. As previously noted by the State Border Guard Service, in Kiev, Chernihiv, Sumy, the efforts to resume the border control, we have reached all the areas of our responsibility, but the danger still remains. That is why the classic border protection is not occurring. We must ensure the safety of our personnel. Currently, measures are being taken to further check the area of the border. We are setting up checkpoints, strongholds, observation and control posts necessary for the protection of the border. As for the dangers in these directions, I would like to mention the mining, the work of the sabotage groups, and the shellings from the adjacent territory. Over the recent days, the enemy has repeatedly shelled Ukraine, opening fire from their territory. For example, on April the 27th, from the territory of Russia, the enemy dropped 50 mines in the Sumy region, and this shelling originated from the Russian village of Troyeborny. Yesterday, they fired 3 times over Chernihiv region using mortars and automatic grenade launchers in the settlement of Semenivka and Senkivka border checkpoint. Today, we again record mortar shellings in the Sumy region in the direction of the settlement of Gluchiv. Of course, this poses a threat not only to the military, but also to the civilians moving near the Ukrainian border. For security reasons, border guards are stepping up measures to introduce additional temporary regime restrictions. Currently, they have been introduced in the Sumy region and are now being introduced in the Chernihiv region. In particular, until the end of the martial law, in the controlled border areas, any movement of civilians in the strip of land landing along the state border, 1 kilometer wide, is prohibited. In the settlements near the Ukrainian border, as well as in the settlements up to 20 kilometers from the state border. We prohibit all the movement of persons except vehicles of emergency services and all kinds of work outside the settlement from the 2100 to 700 a.m. are prohibited. Carrying out any flights of aircraft is prohibited. Fishing, various kinds of recreation, staying in the wood. Exception is done for the employees of enterprises after the information of our units. Hunting is also prohibited, as well as wearing military uniforms by the civilians. Regarding the border with the EU and Moldova, since the February 24, a total of 5,500,000 people have crossed the state border, of which 3,000,000 more than 800,000 people left Ukraine. At the same time, we have seen 1,130,000 of Ukrainians moving into the country. It should be noted that citizens of Ukraine have the right to cross the border to leave country with domestic passports. This was the decision due to the humanitarian circumstances. But I would like to draw your attention that in some instances, while you are staying abroad, our citizens may feel a need to have a foreign passport according to the legislation of the countries of their state. That's why we advise you to have a foreign passport issued before crossing the border. In addition, I would like to remind you that citizens can cross the border of all checkpoints, both by car, except Mali, Selmenci on the border with Slovakia, and walking. With that, the pedestrian route does not operate only at the Tisa checkpoint in the border of Hungary. At the Hungarian border, we have changed the times of operation since the 26th of April. The registration of vehicles is carried out from 8 o'clock to 7 o'clock and from 8 to 2000 respectively. Other checkpoints are working 24 hours a day. Additionally, I will tell you that not all checkpoints can be used to walk into the Ukraine, only where such lanes are defined by the relevant agreements. Walking out of Ukraine, even where there are no specified agreements, is allowed due to the humanitarian component. We are also seeing the violations of the state border by the Ukrainian citizens. In particular, beyond the checkpoints, we have apprehended since the February 24th more than 2,300 people. As a rule, they were men from 18 to 60 years old, people who are forbidden to leave the country at the time of martial law. And we have seen, and that is on a separate note, the instances of the forged documents. Altogether, there are 550 such persons. I would like to say that all the measures to provide the defense of the state border out of Ukraine is operated by the 20,000 strong personnel, people who have chosen at their call to defend our borders. They will be celebrating their professional holiday tomorrow. This is their plight to meet the unwelcomed enemies and repel them, and of course welcome those who are welcomed here. Since the 24th of February, with the start of full-scale Russian offensive, it was the border guards who came under fire from the artillery and enemy equipment and their sabotage groups. They are repelling these attacks. Of course, we have lost lives, but we have withstood the initial attacks, and together with the armed forces and other defense forces, we are successfully defending our borders from the very minutes of the Russian invasion. The personnel of the department show heroism and show that they are not afraid of the enemy. 207 citizens were awarded awards, 20 some of them posthumously. There are heroes of Ukraine, among other names, Ihor Dashko, the lieutenant colonel, and Colonel Vitaly Kucherovsky. They paid the ultimate sacrifice, giving their lives for a bright future of Ukraine. May memory of them be a blessing. Their names will be remembered and duly honored after our victory. Thank you very much.